Right, so imagine me in my year 6 IT lesson. I just finished all my work, so I get to spend the rest of the lesson playing games. So what do I play? I mean, there were tons of games to choose from. Games like the Papa Louie franchise were excellent platformers, while simultaneously teaching you how to work minimum wage jobs, which is very common in a lot of children's games. Like, any of you guys play Work at Pizza Place on Roblox? Or what about that one game where you get chased by the bull? You're constantly moving and you have to think about what platform's coming next. Man, I don't care about that. I want to play Smash Bros. I want to beat people up. Bear in mind, this was the early 2010s and I didn't have a 3DS or Wii U growing up, so the new Smash Bros was just out of the question for me. I mean, it's not like I'm asking for too much. All I want is a version of Smash Bros I could play on the school computers so I could show off to my friends. And that's when I ended up with whatever this thing is. Super Smash Bros is a platform fighter made by McCloud Gaming in 2006. You might know them for their other titles such as Brainmakers and Yeah Jam Fury. With its surprisingly large roster and a reasonable amount of content, this was the perfect game for me to play in front of my friends. Oh, look at me, I'm so cool, I could play Smash Bros on the computers. Kinda hot, right? I mean, it was either this or The Fight for Glorton. The fuck is a Glorton? This game was really good at keeping me busy since there were a lot of things to do here. There were a lot more characters than I was expecting, so I'd always try my best to unlock as many characters as I could before we had to return all the laptops. Anyways, I think that's enough. Let's actually play this game since I haven't touched it in over a decade. It's really been that long! Alright, before we start this video, two things. First, 100 subscribers, which is like too cold type shit. And the second one is I got a new intro. Check it out. Also, can we just talk about this title screen? You just got Mario, Link, Sonic, Samus, Pikachu, and some random guy's OC. Like, who generally invited, bro? It's like that one Loud House meme.
What do you think you're doing, 6th grader?
Who the fuck do you think you are?
Alright, as you can see from the title screen, you can clearly tell this game is based on Super Smash Bros. Melee, which would have been the most recent game since Brawl came out 2 years later. There's only two modes to this game, single player and multiplayer. Ignore these other three because they do absolutely nothing. Single player has classic and an adventure mode, while multiplayer just has versus mode. This game has a staggering 28 characters to choose from. You start with 13 and then unlock more through the single player modes. I still can't get over this roster though. Chrono, Naruto, Mega Man, and Zero. Is that Mr. Incredible? Bear in mind, this came out before Brawl came out, so the idea of third-party characters didn't even cross anyone's mind. As for the stages, you start with 6 of them. Emerald Hill, Peach's Castle, Hyrule Temple, Dreamland, Mario Bros 2, and Pokemon Stadium. But before we get onto the gameplay that you so desperately waited 3 minutes for me to get into, there is just one thing we need to discuss. See, in order to make a game, it needs to have controls. I mean, without controls, that's just the game mixtape. And in order for us to play this game, we need to look at actual Smash Bros to see how you attack in that game. In regular Smash Bros, your main way of attacking is by either using the attack or special button, and you can combine these with the joystick to do even more moves. For example, an up and special combo is more likely to send you upwards towards the stage, depending on the character. There's also things like grabbing and shielding, but we'll get to that later. This game does not use that system. Instead, you have one special attack, 3 aerials, and a down air attack. That's 5 attacks, dog! And don't even get me started on the actual movement in this game. When you're on the ground, it's incredibly snappy. You won't even slow down to turn. You'll instantly just bolt in the other direction. And then when you're in the air, it's like trying to steer a pirate ship. It takes ages for you to turn around. And when you do, it's probably too late because you're already dead. Wait, hold up. Did I just fall through the platform? What the hell? I'm telling you this now because when unlocking all the characters, I had to play through classic and adventure mode over and over again. And I was dealing with these problems constantly. What, you thought because this was some children's game on the computer, you thought this was going to be easy? Yeah, I guess it's my fault. I should have known there was levels to this. Versus mode is a place you'll mostly be if you're playing with just another person. I only used this one at school since I didn't have enough break time to unlock any of the other characters. Either that or I just wanted to play something else. Since this was an old Flash game, up to 2 people can play in this mode. Player 1 uses the arrow keys, while player 2 uses the WASD keys. That way each person gets their own side of the keyboard. So you'll believe there's no differences for each player, right?
No.
See, the game didn't consider multiplayer in mind, which is clear due to the fact that the camera only tracks player 1! Normally, in regular Smash Bros, the camera will zoom out if a player is too far away. In this game, if you're player 2, not only are you fighting your opponent, but you're also fighting for screen time, so you can see what you're doing. Which means at times, your opponents will just leap at you from off screen, giving you 0.1 seconds to react. Oh, and get this, if player 1 dies, they get to move the camera however they want! I mean, look at this, I could just keep the camera away from player 2 and they have no clue what they're doing, and as a result they could just lose. Like, do you know how unfair that is? If you're player 2, the only way you'll get through this is if player 1 isn't a petty enough asshole to keep the screen as far away as possible. If so, then this will probably bring you a unique fighting experience. Classic mode is the basic arcade mode of this game, which essentially consists of you being enemies in order to advance, with the last one being Master Hand. Depending on the difficulty, you might get a teammate if you're up against more than one person. The CPUs are kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes they play like a 4-year-old who's never seen a controller before, other times they're moving like they ate one of King Von's dreads, and you end up getting jumped by multiple CPUs. One example of this is this one section where you have to fight Zelda, Link, and Young Link all at the same time. And Zelda gets an extra stock because she turns into Sheik. I end up dying because I take too much damage, which is also another thing I need to talk about. Why is the launch rate so low? Yeah, remember how I said I was going to talk about recovering, grabbing, and shielding? You can't. That's not an option. Yep, there's no way to recover or defend from attacks. Whatever you get hit by, get ready to receive it wide. As a result, you'll get stunned, hit even more times, and then get sent flying instantly. Alright, for example, Knuckles has this one attack where he throws a boulder at you, which can do up to 100% if landed. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, if you hit me with that, like, we ain't friends no more. Like, we actually have to scrap. And as for Master Hand, you'll easily get followed by his attacks if you're not careful, since if you get sent too far to the sides, then your stock is essentially just finished. If there were any way to make this easier, I would say put on max lives and put on the easiest possible difficulty, since unlockable characters like Super Sonic and Young Link can be done on any difficulty. You just need to not get a continue. And actually, after you do that, just play as Tails. He has 6 jumps and he has this electric attack he can spam over and over again. So yeah, just do that. But for the other mode, so for adventure mode, just take everything I said about classic mode with a few differences. First, no random melee and no Legion of Kirby's to defeat. Instead, you have these bullshit race to the finish sections where you have to get from one side of the level to the other. You know how Smash Bros is supposed to be a platform fighting game? Well, the platform itself is not looking good, bruh. It's not looking good. You have to take leaps of faith between multiple platforms while getting jumped by multiple enemies. At times, I would just straight up fall through platforms. Sometimes, there'll be too many enemies on stream and the frame rate will just drop. Like, it genuinely felt like torture. Oh, did I mention that there was a time limit as well? And the cherry on top, not only does Master Hand show up, but Crazy Hand also pulls up mid-fight. Bro really had to call reinforcements. This fight is damn near impossible to beat in one go. If you try attacking one of them, the other one will just show up to finish the job, making this the most uncoordinated jumping session I've ever seen. To be honest, the only thing keeping me on this mode is that more of the unlockables are tied under to this mode. If it were up to me, just play Classic, gang. The same earlier tips apply here, since the game only cares about difficulty and whether or not you've actually lost all your lives, rather than how many you have left when you finish. And there's still more to go! Isn't that crazy? In terms of the stadium mode, it's not really that important. It's more of a challenge mode where you have to defeat a bunch of enemies through different requirements. You don't have to do this since it's just to unlock more characters, so the only actual important ones in this mode is 3-minute man melee and 100-man melee, since completing these will get you Chrono and Cloud respectively. These modes were really tough to beat, since all it takes is for one person to hit you at 200% and the entire run is ruined. I tried doing this with a character with multiple jumps, but I would immediately get hit back as soon as I got on stage. I tried using Knuckles' rock attack, but it would leave my back exposed. every time I used that move. Eventually I found out the trick was to spam Lloyd's up attack, since it was a circular attack. All I could do was just kill any enemy that gets close to me. It pretty much just turned the battlefield into a shredding machine. After doing this, I realized that the trick was to stand perfectly still, since if you attack while you're moving, odds are you're gonna get sent flying in that direction. So if you attack while standing still, odds are you'll just get sent up a bit, but you can still attack. There's also target test mode, where you have to destroy a bunch of targets scattered around the stage. Each character has a different layout of targets, where they share the same map, so I suggest you doing this last with all the other characters. That way after you do it, you get Mr. Game & Watch. And also, if you did a character's target test through classic and adventure mode, it saves it here. That way you don't have to do it 27 times, and instead you can do it like 12 times or something. And we're still not finished. There's just one more thing we gotta check out. After you unlock all the characters, you'll get All-Star mode, where you have to fight every character in intervals using limited resources. As you'll continue, you'll have to fight more and more enemies, with the last one being a gang of Game & Watchers with multiple lives, which is probably done to make up for the fact that he's the last character. We really had to get his screen time in at the end. This one is pretty challenging, since you're stuck with only one life, and those limited resources are just a couple of hearts that heal 100%. Remember what I said earlier about getting hit at like 400% and the entire run is ruined? Yeah, well this applies here too, and you will struggle if you're not careful. After this, you unlock Battlefield, which is... wait, why did it take me this long to get Battlefield? Shouldn't this already be in the game when you start? Okay, whatever. Yeah, I can't lie, I dropped this mode. After I got Battlefield, there was like no reason to come back. I mean, just one stock while the others get 8? Like, that's not fair. When coming into this game, I thought it was going to be a simple 5 to 6 minute flash game that could easily make for a 5-minute video, but as I kept making this script, there were more pages and more pages and more pages. I spent way too much time on this game than I was expecting. Despite the things this game did that made me want to hurl this laptop towards the nearest trash can, I think this game did a pretty good job in enticing you to play over and over again to get all the characters and modes. So I suppose this game isn't terrible. I mean, hopefully if they ever make Smash Flash the squeak wall, then they could add more modes to the game. Like, what do you mean just versus mode? Like, are we for real? Also, why is there no options menu? Well, technically there is, but you can only change your username. You can't actually change the volume, or the sound effects, or even your controls. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to have Final Destination blast in my ears every time I finish single player. Oh my day! So, that's all I have to say for this game. Actually, there is one thing I have to say. First, more anime characters, that would be nice. And second, please bring my niggas Blade and Blue into the next game. Please, I beg of you.